Hello, my name is Alex the Polymath. Today I'll be showing you an algebra technique known as DDSWS. What does DDSWS stand for? Well, it's an acronym standing for both Do Don't Swim with Sharks and Define Variable, Draw a Diagram or Chart, Set Up Equation, Work Area, and Solution. So 5 different steps. So here's a word problem example. In 24 days, a conveyor in an automobile factory assembles a certain number of cars. It worked for 22 days with its norm increased by 5 cars per day and produced 80 cars more than it would have normally for 24 days. Find the daily norm of the conveyor. So, what's the first step we're going to use? D, define variable. So this is the first D in the Do Don't Swim with Sharks. This means to make a variable such as X or Y to represent an unknown. X in this problem, we're going to make it represent the daily norm of the amount of cars made per day. So also you can use any like letter to represent an unknown. X, Y, Z, T, S, R, A, B, and C are all common ones though. So the next step is also a D. It stands for draw a diagram or chart. In this step, you create a diagram, a chart, or a table for the equation you're trying to set up. So, this is my table I made. It has 2 rows, according to plan and in reality, and 3 columns, norm, time, and amount of cars made. The norm according to plan is X because we already decided that was going to be the variable. But the norm in reality is going to be X plus 5 because they made 5 cars more than they should have per each day. The time according to plan was supposed to be 24 days, but in reality they did it faster in 22 days. And the amount of cars made would be the norm, which is the cars per day, times the amount of days. So that would be 24x. And in reality, you multiply across the row still to get 22 times x plus 5. So the next letter in the Do Don't Swim with Sharks is S. It stands for Set Up Equation. This step is just for creating the equation to solve for x. I am going to use the equation 22 times x plus 5 minus 24x equals 80 because we know this is true and it helps us solve for x. It doesn't have like too many variables in it. This is the reality amount minus the planned amount and equals 80. So here's the next step, W. It stands for workbox. This step is for doing the work for the problem. So I'm going to rewrite the problem here, or the equation here, 22 times x plus 5 minus 24x equals 80. And I will distribute the 22 for x plus 5, and I get 22x plus 110 minus 24x equals 80. And then you subtract 24x from 22x and 110 from both sides to get negative 2x equals negative 30. If you divide negative 2 on both sides, you get x equals 15. The last step is to state the solution. And the daily norm of the cars for the factory is 15 cars. And this is it. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening.